number 1 today. We are going to review a couple comic books, which has been great that Daryl is letting me do this. So, well, I mean, like, you know, you're not as much into comics as I am, and you know, nothing wrong with that. You're still a total dork, but so we're gonna review Robin number 1, and then we'll talk about Berserker number 2. I have been looking forward to this book for a little while. So around the end of James Tynion's run on Detective, right? Yeah. Robin. So spoilers. Robin, Damian Wayne quits being Robin. He rips the R off. It's because he had an issue with the Titans. He killed someone. They didn't like it. Batman didn't like it, and Damian was just tired of being held back. So he goes out on his own. And so in Detective 33 and 34, there's a backup story that leads into Robin number 1. And I love this because there's a bunch of old like Nightwing villains in this episode, in this issue. But the tagline is Robin, the deadliest fighters in the world have met their match. So what's going on in this issue is he learns
Mortal
about
Kombat, basically.
I mean, this is the Mortal Kombat that we really wanted to see last week. I'm not going to lie. So after learning of a deadly League of Lazarus tournament, Damian Wayne has a new mission, winning the tournament and proving he is the greatest fighter in the DC universe. But first, he must find the secret island where it is all going down. This brand new solo Robin series will force Damian Wayne to find his own path away from both sides of his family. New mysteries, new supporting cast, first appearances of new characters, and lots of fights. So yeah, I mean, this issue opens with a great, like, just kind of flashback splashy page, where it's, you know, Damian, like 10-year-old Damian, Bruce is in costume with the tights, in the trunks, like, just looks great. You've got like a little picture of him and John together. It's really cool. Like, I would love to have this page as something hung on the wall in my office.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I told you. I really enjoyed the artwork in this issue.
Yeah, so Gleb Melnikov, who did the pencils, the inks, the colors, and the cover. Yeah, Gleb killed it with this. I mean, it looks great. I love the character design. I like the next page where it's bats, and then you've just got little like profile panels of Nightwing, of Tim Drake, of Cassie and Steph, and then of Barbara. You know, and then you get so there's something like John Romita Jr.-esque to this. And I know some people really don't like John Romita Jr. I personally dig him most of the time. There's times where I don't think his artwork is appropriate. But I do find like this style of art very good for this book, especially because of all the action that's going on.
Yeah, right. I would say the only thing that, and this is like a small gripe, and I've seen this with other artists before, is how they draw Batman, you know, his face. And it's not that his face is wrong, but I mean, they draw him like he's like a 25-year-old dude.
Yeah.
And again, that's a very, very small thing. But and this is not the first comic that I've seen that it makes me look at and it's like, man, that's a young looking Batman. But I mean, other than that, like you said, I loved how or was his name Gleb, like how he created these scenes of action. They're great.
Yeah.
And just like how he captures Damian's like nonchalance at times during some of these fights.
Well,
it's great.
The very first splash page where it's King Snake versus Damian, and you get like the real first full look of Damian in the new costume, which is, you know, a mix of Robin. It's a little Ra's al Ghul in there. I mean, it's really cool looking. The color scheme is great. The red and the black and the silver. I don't know if you noticed the big spikes at the end of the toe on the boots.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's great. But yeah, you're right. Just the way, like, you know, this 13-year-old is fighting adults, and you know, but the thing I love the most is the way they show how overconfident Damian is, and it makes what happens on the last page like all the more satisfying, and all the more like, holy shit, I need to see what happens in the next issue.
Yeah, and it was big for me because I'm one of those people, you know, I've told you before, I'm not a huge fan of Batman. You know, his biggest strength is his plot armor a lot of times. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some really great Batman stories that I absolutely love.
I just have to say it. How dare you? How dare you?
So again,
I have to do it. I can't help
I love that. I'm sorry, that never gets old. So,
it's probably I probably send that meme to Daryl, or a gif of that meme once a week at minimum.
Yeah. And I send that to you, and I'll send it to other people when they do something like that. Yeah, it's one of my favorite memes.
It's the meme that keeps on giving.
Keeps. So for me, you know, I know we're reading comics and you have to suspend disbelief, whatever. But my issue, it wasn't my issue, but I was just laughing reading some of this. Like, okay, this 13-year-old is whipping up on these, you know, grown ass men. And so when we get that last page, that was really a great payoff for someone like me who's like, and again, I've read Super Sons, you know, I've read some of the other stuff with Damian. I love him as a character. Don't get me wrong. So, but yeah, with, like you said, his arrogance and overconfidence in these fights, and to see him get his comeuppance, I was like, oh man, I was absolutely not expecting that one bit.
Right.
So to see that, and I didn't know what happened at first, because I'm like, oh, she just, you know, blocked his attack, and then you see what happens.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that happened, and that was the same reaction Damian has. So that was such a great.
And especially because like he telegraphed his move, because it's the same move he used to take out King Snake.
Yes.
So before we get to the fight at the end, though, like, I want to take a sec and talk about him reading through the journal, and Alfred is in his head over his shoulder, like trying to talk sense into him.
Yes.
Like it's just between the use of Alfred in Nightwing and the use of Alfred here, like, maybe it was better that they killed him. Like, I hate saying that because I didn't agree with it when it happened. It made me mad. It made me sad. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, now he can be this whole other thing. Like, you've struck him down, and now he's become more powerful than you can even imagine. Being able to just essentially haunt everyone and give them guidance and you know, push them to thinking, you know, following the right path. But yeah, this is great, because when Damian gets interrupted, and you know, he says at the end, I'll find the League of the Lazarus tournament. I will win and find out why my mother and father kept it from me. I know that, just as I know you and this guilt trip are not real, Pennyworth. I mean, this is Josh Williamson is a great writer. I like Josh Williamson. I was super happy to find out he was doing this book. I mean, it's stuff like that like shows the complete understanding of who and what Damian Wayne is. Because even at the end of the fight, when the promoter said he was the winner, and it said, if you would have killed him, I would have doubled it, and Damian just gave the you know, the little sound. You know, that was, like, again, like, you know, Damian didn't kill him because he couldn't. Damian didn't kill him because it didn't matter.
Right.
So there's an efficiency to him that he doesn't waste time. and he doesn't waste effort that he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But then at the same time, it showed like the kind-heartedness, the Bruce side of him when he gave the family who was looking for some help the winnings of the tournament.
Yeah.
Of course, this was after he got his Lazarus marker, or his invitation to Mortal Kombat, if you will. I mean, they even took a goddamn boat.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's not like they're trying to be original. So it's kind of great in the sense. I looked at it as like them paying homage to the whole Mortal Kombat thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
With all of this. So
but you go through, they're on the boat. It's got some characters that we've seen that are kind of like C and D list characters, right? He gets to the island and Rose Ravenger shows up and is wanting to know if Batman knows he's there. And then my favorite thing is he comes across Respawn and he says nice copyright infringement. But then you go 2 little panels over and you've got Tad, who was Knight, NITE-Wing. You've got Brutal. You've got one of the French twins who are all Nightwing villains. You've got Lady Vic in there on the next page. I mean, there's like, it's some great callbacks to some of the older characters. You've got the guy from the first couple. I cannot remember his name now. From the first couple of issues of Rebirth, Better Than Batman, who was trying to get Dick to do bad things, but yeah, and it looks like Connor Hawke is on there, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I was kind of totally geeking out about this, if you can't tell.
Yeah, I recognize Rose, I recognize Respawn, and a couple other people. I know they mentioned in conversation, I can't remember who beat him, but they mentioned Richard Dragon.
Yeah, they mentioned Bronze Tiger.
But he's like, you cheated. It's like, it's the only way I can beat him.
It's the only way. So, and like you were talking about before, like with Damian, the arrogance to be like, you're here to fight me, so let's just get it over with. And he's like, I'm Robin, son of the Bat. And my mother is the demon. It's the deadliest woman alive. My grandfather is the immortal Ra's al Ghul, demon blood. Just kind of he goes on and so would you rather take me one-on-one or all at once? It's like, dude, you're a kid. Like, like no matter how tough you think you are. And then you get I call dibs from off screen. And then the next page is Flatline, call me Flatline. And she's a cool looking character. I like the design. I don't know if you noticed the little bit of like skull on her face, like not her skull, but like whether it's painted on or tattoo or something.
No, I didn't catch that in the first look.
Yeah. I don't know if you're still looking at it right now, but yeah. And so there's that. And Damian gets in his shot and she's like, ooh, nice job. And, and she keeps talking. She's talking shit. And, he tells her he has no weaknesses. And then, tells her she's going to lose, goes for that knee that he used against King Snake, and is shocked when she blocks it.
Yeah. And that's what I thought. I was like, oh, she's going to return fire. And
she did.
But it was a little bit more than I was expecting.
Yeah. So it says, I don't think you know the number one rule of this tournament. On Lazarus Island, we fight to the death. And on the last page, she's standing there holding his heart with a gigantic hole through his body. And it, it's the fight master. She says, one down. And then it's close up on Damian's eyes, and it's, but I'm dead. And that's it. Like, that's the, the end of the episode or issue. And I mean, I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah. That was a really, just throughout how they built him up, and from we know his character from other books, and how they built it. They reminded us of that with this one, and then he does the same thing that got him the KO,
right?
And then he totally just gets flipped from that.
Yep.
And so
it's great.
And I do have a question. Is this going to be an ongoing series, or is this some type of limited series?
No, this is ongoing. This is part of the Infinite, Infinite Frontier. So this is they've reduced it from like 50 plus books down to like 30 something, and I think somewhere between 12 and 16 of those books are Bat Family books.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a lot of Batman. Like it's weird. So anyway, but yeah, all right. So let's say out of hearts ripped out of a teenage superhero, out of 5, what do you give this?
I'd probably give it 3.5.
Okay.
It's a good start. Great art. I had a lot of fun with the artwork. And I like how they, I like how the arc of Damian himself in this, from he gets all this arrogance to the top, and he gets brought down literally as low as you can be brought down in a fight.
Yeah.
And again, I'm very curious about this Flatline character. I do like the design as well, so I want to see more of her and where they go with this character, and just curious about this whole Mortal Kombat Island thing.
Yeah, and if you haven't picked up this book, definitely go pick it up, because this is the first appearance of Flatline, so it'll be worth a little something someday. But yeah, I'm gonna go 4, just a solid 4 out of 5. I think this is a solid opening salvo. I think having read the couple backup stories leading up to this, I was ready for it. I like seeing like King Snake show back up, and I like seeing Damian give him what for. So, and then I dug all the villains from the 2000s Chuck Dixon run on Nightwing showing up.
Little blast from the past.
Yeah, kind of something like that. All right, so let's move.